Do please come in.
Please come.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Please sit down.
Thank you so much.
Your tie looks like a service tie. Which service is it?
Sir, I borrowed it from my brother. So,
Is he
What
in some
service is
service?
sir, he's not in service. Maybe, but he has a very keen interest in having good ties, sir. I'll go and ask him about it.
No, go and ask him, and also please, the point is this tie is very close to a service tie. So it is avoidable unless you are already in a service,
Okay, sir.
or unless you want to flash your school tie, which is again without a blazer, the school doesn't make sense to me. So fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
I would,
ब्रदर आपके करते क्या है?
sir, he's in investment banking. Investment banking.
Investment banker.
And you said you play percussion.
Yes, sir.
What do you play?
Sir, I play drums. Also have an interest in an instrument called cajon, sir, which is like a wooden box. There's one more instrument called djembe, which is an African instrument, and I'm learning that. But sir, my primary instrument is drum only.
The drum, the Western drums or Indian music drums?
Sir, Western drums.
Western drums.
Yes, sir.
All right. Who is your favorite?
Sir, if we ask about Indian drummer, there is a drummer called Darshan Doshi. I listen to him a lot. He was a drummer on Coke Studio. And sir, there's a drummer called Gavin Harrison from a band called Porcupine Tree. So he is my favorite if we consider the international.
Have you heard of Sandy Nelson?
I'm sorry, sir, I've not heard of him.
Any other top drummer?
Sir, Buddy
Who's the
Rich.
leader of a good band also?
Sir, Buddy Rich. He's a classical drummer who used to lead a band and used to play a lot of jazz music.
What instrument is the piano?
Sir, grand piano is a percussion instrument.
Is a
Percussion instrument, sir. Thank
We'll
you.
continue with the percussion. Can you tell me the name of a great percussionist who played Indian drums?
Sir, Mr. Tawfiq Qureshi, sir. I listened to some of his work.
Shall we say some of the more illustrious names which are international legends in
Sir,
classical
Mr.
Indian
Zakir
music?
Hussain. Mr. Zakir Hussain, sir.
जाकिर हुसैन साहब, बिल्कुल उस्ताद जाकिर, उनके पहले की पीढ़ी का जिक्र अगर कर ले तो और मजा आए. उनके वालिद भी हुआ करते थे, वो भी परकशनिस्ट ही थे,
Sir,
अल्लाह रखा साहब.
yes,
उसके
sir.
पहले अमेज़ान थिरकुआ हुआ करते थे. तो but there's one drum. Now, do you remember the name of any mridangam vidwan or a pakhavaj vidwan? Both percussion instruments,
Yes, sir.
both very much Indian,
Yes, sir.
and going back to days of the great murid of Sheikh Nizamuddin Auliya,
Yes,
Amir Khusro's time.
Yes, sir.
So would you remember any pakhavaj? I will come to more percussion, because I am very happy with your interest in percussion.
Yes, sir.
But then I would like to know whether you know any Ghatam Vidwan. Because I
Sir,
was listening to some Karnataka music
sir,
yesterday.
Yes, sir. I've listened to T. Vinayak Ram, sir, and he plays
Excellent.
Ghatam.
I'm very happy. Because Ghatam also is something which people don't even realize.
It's a
Ulta
beautiful
khada
instrument.
nazar aata hai.
Yes, sir.
Tadur nazar aata hai, portable.
And we can make a lot of sound with the just.
You can make a
the
brilliant sound
guitar,
with that.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant sound. But Pakhavaj and Mridangam you don't remember.
Sir,
any
I
name.
see performances, but name-wise, I'm not able to
Fair
recall.
enough,
or maybe-
fair enough. This is an unfair question. I
Yes.
mean, only because you are so deeply into percussion and music that one is tempted to ask you this. Now, you mentioned that your brother is in investment banking. Now, one thing leads to another. There is a news item today that the Citibank has exited after 100 years of servicing Indian consumer from retail banking. They presumably will retain their presence in merchant banking and investment banking. Could you explain to me the difference between merchant banking, investment banking, and retail banking?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. I don't have information on
Don't
this.
wear that tie then.
Sir, I will.
Because that tie will lead to your brother, it will lead to investment.
You tie from your brother, but not his knowledge about
Sir,
that.
it was a coincidence. Actually, my try, I just
Oh,
forgot.
don't
it.
worry.
Just,
As long
pulling your leg.
as you keep smiling with
Yes.
embarrassing questions, I have no problems.
Yes.
My question was not only because of your brother's investment banking. You are appearing for civil services.
Yes, sir.
Presumably, you are reading newspapers.
Yes.
If you are not, chairman will tell you immediately. But today's newspaper carries a news item where this discussion began. So, what is the bank which has bought over the retail banking business of Citibank?
Sir, I
This is
read
the
about it.
newspaper. You didn't have to ask your brother about this.
Sir, I read about it. I've not been able to read
No,
it.
we are not
Did you
bothered.
read the newspapers today?
Sir, I just skimmed through it. Maybe I missed
नहीं,
any.
अगर आपने skim भी किया होता, you could not have missed it. It is a 3-column spread with a 20-point header. You can't miss it. I mean, even a person with incipient cataract like me can't miss it. You see, it also goes into the detail that almost close to $725 million were saved in the deal due to the delay or whatever it is. The long and short point is this, that you should know what is in the newspapers.
Yes, sir.
Because you are preparing for civil service.
Yes.
So fine, I'll leave it at that and I'll pass you on to I will pass you on to
Thank
Professor Tripathi.
Anthropology is your optional.
Yes, sir.
You know that when we talk of Uttar Pradesh, we rarely talk of the tribal population in Uttar Pradesh. Recently, some new scheduled tribes have been added to the list. Is there anyone from Uttar Pradesh?
Sir, I recall it was from Uttarakhand, but Uttar Pradesh, sir, I think I've not read about that, sir.
Gond.
Gond, sir.
They are named
And they're not from Uttarakhand. They're not from Uttarakhand.
in Uttar Pradesh.
So there were two more tribes.
Uttar
But
Pradesh.
Gond, sir, I'll read about it, sir.
They
I've not
just
read
have been added. Okay. But then you must have spent some substantial time in studying anthropology.
Yes, sir.
How it has changed your worldview?
Sir, one of the major things that it changed is that, sir, I got to know about different cultures, and I was someone who was reading about science and very technical subjects since my class 11, sir. So I got to know about different cultures, and also one thing that is cultural relativism that we study in anthropology, to look at different cultures not from our own culture perspective, but from a very objective point of view, sir. So I read about, for example, the Todas, the marriage culture there, about different kind of marriages, family. So, sir, I think I understand things around me better now that I've studied the discipline, sir.
So you just told me that there is something that you study in anthropology is cultural relativism.
Yes, sir.
What is multicultural perspective?
Sir, multicultural perspective is in sense that a perspective in which a lot of cultures exist in a similar geography or in a similar society. And so these cultures also interact with each other. So from that perspective, if we study all these cultures, it will be known as a multicultural perspective, sir.
Okay. Since you are from Uttar Pradesh,
Yes, sir.
so can you tell me that some of the ambitious schemes, if you had to adopt for Uttar Pradesh, in which area it should work, then what would you choose? Because it has been 3 or 4 states for such a long time been associated with the relatively economically not doing quite well.
Sir, one of the scheme is that, sir, which the government is also working on, when we consider the region of Bundelkhand. Sir, it is a region which has a very deep-rooted problem of unavailability of water. So in that sense, sir, starting cultivation of millets or the resilient crops, which the government is also doing with collaboration of countries like Israel, sir, because they know about this agriculture technology. Sir, I think that will help the region like Bundelkhand to become a more prosperous region. Sir, apart from that, the distribution of resources is another thing that is very much required, because the state is so huge that some regions are affluent in certain resources while some others are not. So more equitable distribution of resources to all the regions is something that schemes can work upon, sir.
So one, you talked about the drinking water. The second, you talked about the millets, and you said that Israel has got the secret technology of the millets.
Sir, the resilient crops, resilient agriculture.
Or do they specialize in drip agriculture? Do they specialize in resilient crops? If their expertise in resilient crops, would you like to share those crops? Which crops are those?
Sir, the techniques, I read about the techniques.
Crops. Techniques must be applied to some crops.
But which are those resilient crops that you were talking about, which Israel alone possesses technical knowledge about?
Sir, I know with the Indian perspective, I've not read about which crops in sense in Israel. However, sir, I know about some nurseries that were being developed in collaboration with Israel, and the crops in India were like bajra, ragi.
Would you remember, Asad, any nurseries which are being developed in India with Israeli collaboration?
Sir, I'm sorry, I was not.
See, I love Israel. You know, I mean, I'm one of those minority in this country who loves Israel. And still, I don't think that their problems and our problems coincide. I have greater love for Palestinians. So I think that Israelis are the current flavor of the month. So everything which Israelis do is good. They have secret service, they share information with us, we buy weapons from them, they have the right technology. But as the honorable member asked you, when you make a statement like that, you either have the facts at your fingertips.
Okay, sir.
कि ये हो रहा था.
Sir, I read about the bajra and ragi and these millets were being developed, and the government has launched schemes to develop some nurseries. Sir, that I read. So because of that,
It's
made
okay.
this
Coming
statement.
back to the one perennial problem that Bundelkhand has been facing is the drinking water. But then the tap waters have reached the one picture of a retired IAS officer who represents World Bank for that program there. It shows that how he is stooping and making a cup of his palm and drinking water from those taps and praising that the water quality is very good. And he's going from village to village. Have you seen that picture?
Sir, I have not seen, sir, that.
What actually wanted to say that the tap waters have reached to many villages in the Bundelkhand area, and the drinking water is being supplied. So the water problem, to some extent, it is being solved. But we were talking about entire Uttar Pradesh. Anything else that you could choose that this area needs to be developed?
Sir, when I come to industry, sir, because the potential is so huge in Uttar Pradesh, so that is something that needs to be developed. For example, if I talk about my own city, Aligarh, the lock industry is very strong and has a very strong historical perspective, sir. So there is an SEZ that has been announced since last many years, or more about a decade, sir. However, it has not been established as of now. So if we want to harness this historical set up industries like a lock industry or the hardware industry in such regions, sir, I think we can work in that sector to collaborate to a larger picture of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, sir.
I can understand your concern, but in the lock industry, I'm not an expert in that, but it's very, very sophisticated as a research and development needed because lock industry has
People have moved over.
a lot.
People have moved over to electronic locking.
Yes,
People,
sir.
Aligarh locks are a cottage industry, handicraft kind of thing, which might have a curio value. I mean, even the other locks, the numbered locks, which are cheaper, the Chinese have a store in a March. And Aligarh doesn't go in for, Aligarh goes for those old-fashioned locks, you know. So while your concern for Aligarh locks is very,
We are
very
also nostalgic about them, but then technology and the way of the making locks have moved forward.
Sir, I am concerned, but I am also hopeful because I have seen, I have some friends whose father, they own lock industries, and even they are moving towards the electronic locks, the fingerprint locks.
It's very difficult to scale up from a
Yes, sir.
key to a Godrej lock, which is slightly different, to a lock which takes three things, and then there's a further electronic locking.
Yes, sir.
So it's not as if at will you can scale up.
Sir, I have a hope that the new generation that is coming up, for example, traditional knowledge is being transferred, but the generation that is
Transfer
coming
where
up,
to where?
sir, from like father to son, like my friend has a lock industry.
Look, what is happening is, Asad, I would be very happy. You are a very good candidate. You're a bright young person. Can you resist the temptation to get into anecdotal evidence that one of my father's friends is in lock, he's transferring from his father to son things? This is not the way you transmit traditional knowledge. There is a Gurukul system, there is a Ustad and Shagir system, then in a Karigari also, even in a motor mechanic. So, you know, that is one generation transfer, and that is not traditional knowledge. That tradition, lock, all right, let's get into this game interestingly. You did mention, you'll see in the CD, historical perspective of the lock. So when was the first lock made in India?
Sir, in Aligarh, I have
No,
some insights. on that.
can we move out of Aligarh? Aligarh was not the center of universe.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, for the present day dispensation, where Indian civilization began. So, agar log ki aap baat kar rahe hain, when I will tell you something. There is a description by a Chinese traveler of the Gupta Empire, where he says people were so honest that houses were not locked. So locks existed in the Gupta period. So, I mean, please be careful.
I will be, sir.
So, when you say traditional knowledge transferred from father to son, I would, what do you mean by traditional knowledge? And Baba Ramdev is not transferring traditional knowledge of Ayurveda from father to son. That's not the way tradition. You reclaim traditional knowledge. You revalidate traditional knowledge. And then you get into that. Anyway,
I understand,
sorry.
I understood, sir.
Okay, Asad, you write blogs on Quora.
Yes, sir.
So I'm giving you a question on Quora. Name your best quality.
Sir, my best quality is my calmness, sir. I'm always very calm, and it's very tough for situations in life to break my calm, sir. So I think that is something I wear as my strength.
And what is your worst quality?
Sir, my worst quality is that sometimes I tend to be workaholic, which tends to burn me out. And because of that, my efficiency suffer for a very long period of time, sir.
So give an example of wherever you were working, what happened?
Sir, during my college days, I was organizing the music fest.
Prayagraj and Monaco.
Yes, sir. NIT Allahabad, sir. So in that, sir, I was organizing the music fest. And during that, because, sir, one challenge came up to us that we had to transfer the entire students' activity center from one location to another. And this was a very big task, and a lot of instruments were also involved. So, sir, in that case, I just went overboard and we worked throughout the night, because of which the next day event suffered. So I think I could have taken a better stand and taken breaks in between, as well as for my team, sir. So I think, sir, that is one anecdote that I can remember.
Interesting. Can you name 6 CEOs of persons of Indian origin who are heading global companies? 6.
Sir, I'll try to
Okay.
name 6. Sir, one I can recall is Mr. Sundar Pichai. The second one
Heading?
is, sir, Alphabet.
Yes.
The second one, sir, is Mr. Satya Nadella.
Okay.
Uh,
Heading?
So Microsoft.
Correct.
The third one, sir, is sir. I remember third ones. I remember 3 names, sir, but it just went
Where's
off
the
my
third
head.
one? You remember 2.
Sir, I had 3 in my mind. I just forgot, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all right. Elon Musk has brought Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Are you a Twitter user or not? Are you on Twitter?
Sir, I'm not on Twitter.
Which social media platforms are you on?
Sir, I just have a blog on Quora. Otherwise, I don't use any.
So no WhatsApp even?
Sir, WhatsApp I use, sir.
But you're not on Instagram, you're not on Facebook,
Sir, I was, but after 2019, I'm not using
because you were busy with the preparations.
with the preparation, sir.
Is social media a boon or a bane?
Sir, it's
And
it
you have
can
to
be a
choose
boon.
one. Please don't give me the answer. It can be this or that. One answer I want.
Sir, it's a boon.
It's a boon.
Yes, sir.
But what about the claims that, now democracy is being compromised by social media, election interference is happening through Twitter and Facebook, fake accounts, bot accounts. What about all that? I mean, some people are calling it the biggest threat to liberal democracy.
Sir, it is a boon, but sir, it comes with its own challenges. Because sir, one thing that social media has done is that it has created a digital or a virtual public square where people come and interact interact with
but
their
are
ideas.
they
Sir.
interacting or are they in their private echo chambers? And their prejudices or their hatreds are getting, revalidated by others who belong to the same ecosystem.
Sir, one issue that I can see in this is the anonymized users that are using, the anonymity that is involved with it. Sir, and I think, sir, we need to tackle that to tackle this problem of the hate speech and using the worst of their thoughts online. So, because people think that they are now under the wheel of anonymity, and under that they can do anything they want, sir. So, I think that is one sector where we can work upon, and technology is going to help us to work on it, sir. So, it is a boon, but it comes with its own challenges.
Last question. What is the theme of India's G20 presidency?
Sir, the theme is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very happy with your interview.
Sir, I got a little...
No. See, the point is, this is not a test of your knowledge. And we put you deliberately under pressure to see how you react to that. So, I mean, the grilling on locks, or for that matter, the point is that anything can lead you to anywhere from your DAF.
Yes.
Somebody can say your father was a section officer in the administrative wing
Yes,
in the AMU. AMU has got a great engineering college. Why did you end up in Prayagraj?
Yes, sir.
I mean, Allahabad then,
Yes,
but
sir.
now Prayagraj. So it's a totally different milieu, So, and Aligarh has as good an engineering college as any, So that's one. But there's an example. My only problem is that avoid anecdotal evidence too much.
I'll take that feedback, sir.
I mean, as long as you are secure with your facts and figures. I mean, even the Andrew Yule Law Company, Yale Law Company, had origins in India. So when you talk of logs, I would like you to read up from Wikipedia or whatever it is, the Boon Man, whatever, the logs, and then talk about logs from that perspective. Electronic locking, different keys, mismatching keys and things of that kind, it leads to very, very interesting things. So you can do logs, but be better prepared on logs.
Sir, I'll read more about it.
You also introduced that Bundelkhand, but you didn't have the latest information.
And also about Israel. You see, the whole point of millets is that you don't have to have hothouses and nurseries to grow millets. And also, please remember, after China, India is probably the second largest producer of millets in the world. Maybe at times Nigeria tips us. But we don't need foreign expertise to grow millets. आधी हमारी आबादी अभी एफ्लुएंस के पहले बाजरा ही खा रही थी, राजस्थान में भी, गुजरात में भी, कर्नाटक में रागी खा रही थी, बिहार में मड़वा खा रही थी, दक्षिण महाराष्ट्र में ज्वार और शोरगम खा रही थी, जई खा रही थी. So, it's very tricky to say we are having expertise from Israel. I mean, and I don't love Israel in any case.
Sir, I understand, sir.
Yeah. You have 15 days. Which newspaper do you read?
Sir, I'm reading Indian Express, and I also read the opinion section of Hindustan Times, sir.
Hindustan Times, does it have an opinion section?
Sir, just one page comes.
Oh.
They try to be with the competition.
All right. If you read the mint of Hindustan Times, actually that will have many more. Now, two things which we advise everyone. You are a very good candidate. One, master your draft. Sit down with it, cull out 100 questions yourself, which are possible, and prepare the answers. Secondly, news and newspapers, read thoroughly and make notes. Start a diary if you already don't have. 6-7 items every day from today. We'll give you 100 pages of 100 items on that day, and keep on refreshing them. These two things are all that you can do, because otherwise you are very, very smart. Okay.
So,
do you have any question?
Sir, my first preference is Indian Foreign Service.
Oh, yeah.
So for that, do I have to focus on something?
No, obviously IR has to be very strong because if especially there is an IFS member, I don't think currently there is an IFS member on the, but there may be a subject expert who is drafted in, not as a permanent board member of the, but a subject consultant. So then naturally, if they look at your first preference being the IFS, they will ask you questions. So Russia-Ukraine war, G20 in particular. You have to be fully off
India, Pakistan, India, China, Sri Lanka,
and India's neighborhood basically.
Neighborhood, basically.
Whether it is Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Nepal, you have to be quite well versed with that.
So from newspapers that we are talking about, you read all these items. Lots of things are happening in Nepal, for instance. You should know about that. Okay.
All the best, sir. But you're a very good candidate.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
And also the question he asked about anthropology, be careful. Which tribe has been added? I mean, there's the operative part of the anthropology, not the theory only. What the government has done, what it enjoins you to do. So don't confuse the gods with a tribe in Uttarakhand.
Yes, sir.
Chalo.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you so much, sir.